Hello, my name is Lilo Siegel. I am from Germany. This today is my first tutorial to you all about sewing. Sewing can be done in so many different ways, as you probably know. Some are very difficult, but sometimes with some simple ideas you can have the same good result on the item you will be sewing. So I will give you, from now on in all my coming tutorials, I will tell you tricks and I will give you tips how quickly and easily you can do some good sewing. Today we will first of all start with a Welt pocket. We will have a big one and a little one. But why talk so long? Let's just start it right now. Here we go. So what you need to do your pockets, you either need the garment or a leftover piece of material where you would like to try it on, which I suggest anyway, in case if you're not so firm yet with sewing, you should just do it on a piece of material first. This material I've chosen, of course, first of all, I have to mark where do I want to put which Welt pocket in which size. In my case, I got here already two little dots made. I made them slightly smaller than the Welt will actually be in the width, because I've chosen my first Welt pocket to be 16 centimeters long when it's finished and 2.5 centimeters wide. That means your cut should be actually 20 centimeters long and 7 centimeters wide. Then you have all your seams already added onto it. You also saw that I already put some interfacing behind that gives it, that stabilizes it and makes it very firm when it's finished. Now, very important for this easy sewing, what I will show you is that you will make yourself a pattern, a little pattern in the actual size that the Welt will be. I told you it will be 16 by 2.5 centimeters. And that's exactly the width and the length of this little pattern that I made. You also need a pocket facing piece for each pocket, and of course the lining for the pockets. On the back of my material I already put some special interfacing on to strengthen the pocket when I need to cut it in. So that's all what you need actually for the preparation. We will do the big pocket lower down and the slightly smaller pocket we will just put above then. So we will make those two pockets. The decision is of course yours, which size you need for the first, for the second one, or you might only want to do one single pocket. It's all up to you. First of all, we will take the pocket facing piece and the lining and stitch them together. As you can see, I ironed the facing piece already 1 centimeter over and I just stitch it on top of the lining. Now, I do have a material here that's called amaretta, which you probably know, and the machine likes to always push it a bit forward, so at the end you're not even anymore with your pieces. That is why I take my pattern that I actually made for the Welt that we will put on, but I can use it here already. I lay it exactly against the needle and stitch along the piece. And you will see you will never have any material standing over. It's always very even. So we take our material, the garment or the leftover piece that you have, where we can see our marks on, and position the Welt onto this now. As I said before, the dots you made should be slightly smaller, not as long as the Welt actually will be at the end. Otherwise they might stick out and you can't get rid of them. That's what we don't want. Now you take your pattern, lay it exactly on the ironed edge and leave all your seams standing over that we cut onto it earlier on. We put it under the machine, exactly starting with a needle, with a back and forward stitching on the first part where you can see the pattern. And then you stitch straight along exactly onto that pattern till the end, and do a very good back and forward stitching there the same, because it's very important that these stitches will not open up. Go a bit slow at the end if you're not so firm with the sewing, to make sure that you get these last stitches in the beginning and at the end really firm, that they will not open up. Now you can turn the piece around if you want to do from that side the stitching. You're lying now this prepared piece with the pocket material and the facing piece. Lay it onto it. You might have to slightly push it under in case if you make a smaller Welt pocket. Otherwise you will not have enough material left over. But if you're not firm sewing from that side, you can also easily turn it around. Now you take exactly your pattern that you used for the first stitching, lie it evenly with your first stitch onto the whole line that you stitched. Again, do a very, very firm back and forward stitching and go along your pattern. You will see nothing will push, your pocket will lie very flat, you will have no problems whatsoever. Go slow again at the end, make sure that you're in a right angle with your last stitch from the first seam, and now go very even over there. Again, do a very well back and forward stitching so these stitches will not open up. Now you turn your piece around. Now it doesn't like to slip nicely on my machine because it's this non-slipping Amaretta material. Now you have the choice. If you haven't done it very much, take a pen and mark those last stitches or the first stitches, however you want to call it. Make a little point exactly on that ending of the seam. Now draw a line in the middle, because that's where we will have to cut, and make a little triangle, a drawing there, because that's how you will have to cut this pattern in. The other side I won't even mark because I know where I got to go, but you can of course mark it the same way. And here's a little hint. I show you something. If you have bad scissors, I can always see this again, that some people like to pick up the scissors and cut with the end. Now, if you would have to cut all the way exactly into that point there where your last stitch is, you might not be able to do it correctly. That's why you should always have a scissor that cuts very, very well up to the front, because that's the only and best way to cut this pocket open. Now look underneath, put all your pieces from your pockets away, because you only have to cut the actual material. Now clip exactly into that point that you marked yourself, or that you see it very well. Turn it around. Go again, put all the materials underneath away. Cut right through the middle between your two seams. Stop about 3/4 of a centimeter before your endings. Think of your right ankle there, and now do a nice little triangle cut into this pocket. Now the worst is done already. Now it goes all easy from now on. You take your welt and you pull it over to the left side. You turn it over now to the other side. Now you can see already if you cut your corners exactly in, and you take your other lining piece that you got ready. You look which is the left and the right side. On some linings it's not so easy to see. You turn it again and you will stitch that now onto your welt seam that you got there. Look at the length, it should be the correct length. Now just stitch along the seam that you can see there. Put this lining on, one straight through. Now to make it easier for the next step, you can either just go along with your fingernail and flatten it out a bit, but you can also just stitch along. Put all the other materials underneath away, and now just sew along approximately a millimeter along to that. And then you can see this lies flat. Even when you wash it later on, it will never get in your way again. Now you pull the other pocket part, the lining, onto the left side. Pull this into the place there. flop the pocket down, turn it around, and have a look. You can practically see that the pocket is totally finished already. Now you pull your little dry angles correctly into the inside and make it straight. Now, in case if this happens that you think, whew, what have I done? This pocket is all upside down. No, nothing is wrong, nothing totally. Because all you did is you didn't pull it into the right angles. So just go back in again, pull it, look at it, and think, okay, that's how I like it, that's how I want it. Now you just flop this little piece away and stitch this triangle so it's firm and it can't slip back in, and then your sides are nicely held already. Check it again, make sure you're in the right angle there. Pull your triangle and stitch over it, hold it firm. Now it's your decision if you like to just iron it or if you like to stitch around the pocket. That of course depends on how the rest of your garment will look like. If all the edges are stitched around, you should do the same with the pocket, and that's what we're going to do now. You put from the left side both pockets apart, one to the top, one to the bottom, and you first only stitch along the bottom. Now think about it. If you have a very pushing material as something that has a velvet into it, it might push and you get all funny crinkles into that seam. Then just take your pattern that you got ready lying there anyway, put it against the needle and stitch along, and you will see everything will be very flat and nice and easy and beautiful. Now we of course have to do still the other three sides. So put the pocket down that you put upper to the top before and continue where you stopped before with the stitching, going around 1 millimeter. Do the edges nice and tidy. Go around there. Again 1 millimeter. If you think something is pushing and pulling, take your pattern, put it directly onto the needle, leave the space where you like to stitch along, and you will see no problem. Your pocket will be perfect when it's finished. Go a little slow at the end if you're not so firm that you don't go too far. And go down the last side, the small side. Do 2 stitches back and forth so everything stays nicely together. So your first pocket is practically finished. We haven't closed the pocket inside yet, but we do that later after we've done the next one. Because now we will put above this one a smaller one. Now, on most garments, like as you know, maybe a gent's jacket, if you have a smaller pocket above a big one, it's usually set on the front evenly in line. But I decided different on this one, as I want to show you with all the patterns that we made and prepared. We will not do it even there. We will more or less put it in the middle above the bigger pocket. Of course, this is your decision again, where you want it and how you want to do it. So first of all, I have to think, where do I want this? Of course, my welt now is cut much smaller. As you can see, it's now the size of my finished one, which means the small welt should be 10 centimeters long, I decided on, and 1.5 centimeters wide. That means I have to cut it 16 long and 5 wide, then to be able to iron it over. By the way, I'm talking about centimeters, not about inches. Now, to decide where I want it, how much above the first pocket I like to have it, I've chosen my first pattern to put on, and I'm measuring and I see, okay, I want it approximately 3.5–4 centimeters above the first one. So I'm just putting this parallel onto my first pocket, and parallel I put that one over. So I know I have the same distance there. If you don't have a good eye measurement, then just take your normal measurement and check it to make sure. Now I'm putting my other smaller pattern on top, which I marked in 2 positions exactly which length from where to where it should be. And now I do exactly the same what I did with the first pocket. I'm stitching from my first mark on to the end. And very well again at the end, do a good back and forward stitching so this will not open up when you do the cutting later on. This next pocket facing piece I already prepared, as you can see. So I'm lying it onto there now. I take my pattern again, put it on my first stitch, exactly along the seam line that I have. It must be parallel in a good right angle. Then your pocket will also be in a right angle when it's finished. I push the lining a little bit underneath to make sure I have enough seam left over at the end. And I'm checking again where is my last line. Now I push the pattern forward to lie it exactly onto the last stitch on from the first seam to make sure I have a right angle there. So I turn my piece around. As you remember, you can draw yourself in the middle of your two seams a line for your cutting, and you can mark your first stitches there. Draw a little triangle where you want to do the cutting. Put all the materials underneath away and cut open in the middle. Check that you're not cutting anything underneath. And cut your triangle on the first side. Turn it around and do exactly the same on the other side. Important is that you really go on to that last stitch, but not cut it through, because if you cut it through, you got a big mess when you're turning the welts around. And if it's a material that's very soft, it can rip easily. No fun. So try to be exact. So already you need your other lining piece. Check again which is the right side. If you're not sure, just check it again. You want to put it against that seam that you have there. That's it. That's where we go. Put it straight edge on edge. Same width, same length. And stitch it on. And again, you rub against with your fingernail, or you just stitch it down a millimeter. Put everything underneath away, so nothing gets fastened that you do not want to be fastened. And it's lying nice and flat. So, what do we have to do? Yes, we have to now take the other pocket part through to the left side. Pull it nicely into all the corners. Lie everything flat down. Flop it down. Turn it over. Check our corners. Pull the little triangles through. Watch out again. Check again that it's in the right angle, how you like it. And fasten the first triangle. And do the same on the other side. So now you can check it all over again before we're doing the last stitching over the little welt pocket that we made so far. Just look at it again, turn it around, turn it over, put the upper pocket to the top because we don't want to stitch that one. And now you stitch along the bottom line again. 1 millimeter like you did the other one. Of course, if you decide your garment will have a wider stitching, then I would of course do the same kind of stitching also on the pockets. But that is your decision because it's going to be your design anyway. Flap the upper pocket down and do the other 3 sides of the pocket. Nicely stitched over, and think about it. If you think your material is pushing forward from your foot because you might not have a needle transport machine like I do, then just take your pattern again, put it against the needle and stitch along it, and you will see it will be really nice and flat and good looking when you're finished with it. So practically your pockets are finished. Just look at it again. The only thing we haven't done yet, of course, is closing the pockets in the inside. but that is no problem. We do that now. Make sure you do one by one and don't put them all together. And the seams that I have on here is always for a pocket approximately 2 centimeters or a good inch, because you will probably afterwards either go with your zigzag scissors or with your zigzag sewing machine, or maybe even you have an overlock saving machine. You will go around with that, and you always need more than just a centimeter for a pocket. So you just do those 3 sides, put everything away. On the bottom I had to leave a little bit more, as one pocket at the moment is a little bit too long, which has to be cut anyway. That's the first one. Lies nice and easy there. You can see that's finished, that first one. Of course, what you can also do if you're not using it, or on a gent's jacket, you can just stitch a little bit in the inside close, then the pockets will not hang through either. And now we're doing the little pocket. 2 centimeters standing over, as I will go over later with my overlock machine to really clean it off nicely. And we've done in that short time already 2 pockets for your new garment. So check it again. Hope you like it. Look from all sides. Look at the distance, the little pocket in the middle, but you can also put it evenly on the front or make them both the same length. So all I can say now is start doing it. I hope you enjoyed my first video for you, and I will see you soon again for all my coming next tutorials. Thank you. Bye.